YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So I thought I would put a fresh coat of paint on the old barn while we talk. Gotta remember my 7th grade music teacher. At any rate, y'all, I know that I had said my bestie and I were we had an activity planned. Well, those plans got changed. They are still upcoming. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. So we are having a wonderful, and I do mean wonderful, cool day today. It's 48 degrees, y'all. So I was looking at the extended forecast, and y'all, we're about to have another batch, next week, of some 90-degree stretches again. So it's still summer, but I think the cooler weather has really made me think about upcoming winter and being prepared. So I've done a couple videos where I cleaned out some home canning and my freezer, etc. I still have to do my big pantry room, and although it's the biggest with the most food in it, it really just needs organized more so than, like, there's a lot of things that need to be disposed of. Whoops. Design flaw in the drawer here. So, but it just made me think, and I thought, wow, it's probably, while the weather's nice, a good time to start thinking about what I need to do on my little homestead or home place or hobby homestead, whatever you want to call it, to be ready for winter. And so that entails a lot of different things. Of course, having, supplies on hand, things for emergencies, loss of water, loss of power, those type things. And trust me, it happens here. And also just some safety awareness things for your place or your homestead. I think this could apply even if you live in an apartment. Now, the tasks may be a little bit different because you're not checking your roof or some of the things like that. But there are some basic principles that I thought I would go over today and share with you so that you too can get a head start on winter. So for the purpose of this video, I am going to be using my homestead management binder, which is based largely on a management binder book that I got years ago from the Homestead box. And I never wrote in it for a good reason. I simply copied the pages because once you write in it, a lot of the things were just like for one season only. It's one and done. And I thought, why would I do that? Why not just copy the blank pages? So I went out on Amazon this morning and took a look to see, are there copies available? And I will tell you, from my research, you can only buy it used. I don't know if used means somebody already wrote in it, or like mine, I've just had it for a few years and I flipped through the pages, so it's not like, pristine, no human hands have touched it. That price was $20 for the used one. But I also noticed there were a lot of other binders. And guys, there are tons of free printables out online too. You don't necessarily have to spend money to create your own homestead management binder. Okay, do I have enough paint on the barn, y'all? I always try to cover up my dark circles. It's a losing battle. I'm just one of those people that's always had dark circles and probably always will. They need a dark circle filter. They probably have something like that, y'all, but I don't use any filters. I do find that the ring light, because it's a bright light, diminishes the look of lines and wrinkles. But y'all have seen me makeupless and outdoors and everything else, so you gotta know the truth about the whole thing. All right, I've got some laundry in. I'm gonna go downstairs and take care of the chickens. It's about 20 till 6. Gonna get that done. And then we'll sit down and we'll kind of go through some of the things that you might want to either go ahead and start doing or to put on your to-do list or your calendar, your schedule, however you keep track of those things. So I will see you shortly. Stay tuned. Oh, it's so chilly this morning. I had to throw a little thin hoodie on. So it is 47 degrees now, but it looks like it's going to be a nice sunny day. Unfortunately, y'all, we are in another drought cycle with no real chance of rain for over a week. So I can't give up watering quite yet, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. So homestead management or home management. So this is the book I was speaking of, the Homestead Planner and Logbook. I did look on Amazon, used it was $19.99. I looked on Books, used it was $27 something, and Thrift Books it was out of stock. So my suggestion is Amazon's the least expensive place, or you might try searching online for free printable homestead planner and logbook, and you may find things that you can download, print, etc. to create your own binder. So mine's pretty big and it has a lot of stuff in it, and I'm gonna kind of tell you what I'm keeping track of. But first I want to talk a little bit about the book, because it really prompts you to think about things that you might not always think about when you're preparing for winter, or just when you want to do a regular cadence of upkeep to the place that you live. We're going to say it that way. A lot of people say, you don't have a homestead. Okay, call it whatever you want. I mean, I have chickens, I have a garden, and I try to be self-sufficient. To me, that's homesteading, but you know, everybody has their own definition, right? So the very first chapter in here is all about safety. So I thought, well, let's do a little bit of talking about safety and home fires and things that you might want to check or be aware of. So I think this is an interesting thing. The number one cause of fires in facilities like nursing homes, let's call them long-term care facilities, is kind of surprising, but the number one cause is dryer lint. And if you think about the volume of bedding and blankets and clothes that the residents wear, there's a lot of laundry. I mean, it's a whole department, right? A lot of laundry goes through there. And even if you're cleaning out your lint trap, there are always going to be pieces of lint that get past that and can actually clog your ductwork. They do sell an attachment to your sweeper that you can go down and vacuum in there. That's a great thing. Or you can also have it professionally cleaned, especially where I'm pointing here because that's where mine is, where your dryer vents to the outside. Tell you a little story. Way back when 9/11 happened, I don't live super far from a major Air Force base, so there were a lot of flyovers of my house, and one of them actually broke the sound barrier, I guess you would say. It created a huge boom. It actually cracked my drywall because it created some sort of a vacuum, and I thought something had hit the house because my dryer vent is by this window here, and this huge shower of stuff, gray stuff, went past the window. So I thought, I'm being bombed. Dramatic much? And actually what happened, it created a vacuum and it cleaned my dryer vent for me. So that's always something to be aware of. The number one cause of fires in the home is actually cooking. I would have said maybe unattended candles or fires in the fireplace if you're not having your chimney cleaned, etc. So if you do have a wood burning fireplace, make sure that you have professionally cleaned that chimney sweep. Some people can do it themselves, but with the creosote buildup, you can actually get a fire in your chimney. Now my fireplace, I'm terrible at pointing, is actually a gas fireplace, and I service it every fall before winter. I don't use it very much, but that way I get all of the dust and any cobwebs and cat hair that end up in there. I get that out so that when I do light it, I don't have to worry about anything catching on fire. It's also a very good idea, y'all, if you don't have one, get yourself a fire extinguisher. So let me share just a little bit about what you might want in the way of a fire extinguisher. So here is my kitchen fire extinguisher. I also have one for the garage, and it is a portable liquid fire suppressant. It's powered by air, you know, the propellant is air, and this is for a Class A or Class B fire. So what is the difference? Class A is like wood, plastic, paper, that type of thing, like if you accidentally light your recipe on fire. Class B is liquid, grease or oil, or gasoline. And Class C is an electrical fire, which I would not attempt to fight. So make sure you have one, that it's still good, it's not expired. Most of them will have expiration dates on them, and that you know how to use it. You know, one of the things I'm thankful for is being a nurse. I had to do a fire safety course every single year as part of my continuing education when I worked in a facility. And they would actually have the fire department come out and help us practice with some kind of spent or older fire extinguishers, so that we knew, you know, aim at the base of the fire, sweep left and right, don't get real close, 6 to 7 feet, etc., etc. So this is your reminder. Check your dryer vent, make sure you have a fire extinguisher. And also, y'all, it's not something we think a lot about, but it's a good idea to have a safety plan. I sleep upstairs, and I've worried that, oh Lord, what would I ever do if, say, something was on fire and it blocked the stairs? If I had to jump from the second story window to save myself, of course I would. But I probably would end up with a few broken bones and injuries, and I don't want to do that. So let me take you upstairs and show you what I have to make for a safe escape should something inadvertent happen here. Now, y'all are balanced, so don't fall over. One of the things that I purchased is, it's called a Kitty is the brand ladder. It is a second story ladder. It is 13 feet long, and as you see, it hooks right over your windowsill. So because I have a total of 5 windows in the master suite, I took the screen out of one of the windows that I don't open, and that way, Lord forbid, in an emergency, and I've opened this so I wouldn't have to fiddle with it when the time comes. Let me just show you. You can simply pull it out, open your window, hook it over the windowsill, and out you go. This has given me great peace of mind. Have I ever had to use it? No, thank the Lord. You know, I've never had any type of fire emergency here, and that's been a huge relief. But having some things like this, or just having an escape route, let's say you're on the first floor, if the fire's in the kitchen, you can't go out the front, etc. Just have a plan. And if you have others in your household, make sure they understand the plan as well. I don't know how easy it would be to haul Hanky Panky Frankie out with me, but I would sure give it a try. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about smoke detectors. So you all are probably like, why do you have 2? Well, there's a reason I have 2. When I purchased the house, the yellowish one that's closest to me was already here, and it is wired into the electric with a backup battery. The second one is actually part of my home security system. So if for some reason this fails, I've got this, and the advantage to having it wired into your home security system is in the event of fire, it automatically will call the fire department for you. Another item that is now code is, I should adjust it, woo-wee, is your carbon monoxide alarm. Now, mine is battery operated, and if I do a test, it works. Yeah, I hear you. So one of the things you should do is when you, oh Lordy, when you change your clocks, go ahead and check batteries and smoke detectors. Do the test button like I just did, just to make sure that in the event of a carbon monoxide leak, you know, a gas leak, or any type of fire, you are well prepared. So the way this book is designed, it will have a lot of information, and then it has a lot of checklists. So in the safety checklist, hazardous chemicals stored safely, flammable liquids stored safely, smoke and fire alarms placed and in working order. So it will go through that. And you know, y'all, you don't have to check it off. You can just use this as a reference. This does have a lot of things regarding, like, if you're storing hay or straw, make sure it's dry so you don't have the automatic combustion and a barn fire. I don't have a barn, and I store one bale at a time of hay or straw, so that isn't as pertinent to me. Let's see if there's anything else we should cover. It does have fire extinguisher tips, and then the safety checklist log, and it has multiple versions of it. I mean, it's all the same information, but you can do it multiple times. So this is your reminder, be prepared. Another thing that they don't cover, but I did want to bring up, y'all, do like an exterior check. Is there any problem with like a window latch, a lock that isn't, like a deadbolt that's not locking properly? Get those things repaired would be my suggestion. In this day and age with Eufy cameras and Ring doorbells, I mean, we are all monitoring, and I think it's good to have a home security system to alert you of any problems. I feel a lot safer. Actually, nowadays, ADT, you don't have to have a landline. It's cellular. So someone can't come on the outside and cut your electric line. It has a battery backup, but it will alarm and it will send a signal because it's all cellular. So there's a lot of new technology. You don't necessarily have to go with a company like ADT, because there's enough product out there now where you can, you know, keep your home safe. Another thing I would suggest that you do is vary your routine. Y'all, when I worked, you could set the clock by me. You know, I got up at a certain time, I left at a certain time. So it wouldn't have been difficult for someone who was casing the house to figure out my routine. Now, because my routine is different, I do try to vary it up. And I also keep all of my doors locked when I'm at home, except, you know, when I'm airing out the house. And I feel pretty secure because they would have to pass 3 cameras before they could get to the door. So I hope that's helpful to you. I don't live in a spirit of fear, but I think safety is an important factor. And now is a good time to do these assessments before the weather's bad and you don't want to go out, or it's difficult for you to go out and do an inspection. And that brings us to chapter number 2, building safety inspections. So again, a lot of this book is written for a formal homestead, maybe with a lot of land, a lot of outbuildings, tractors, all of that. But the principles in here, I think, can apply even if you live in an apartment. So I do use this. This is the building inspection checklist. So before the weather gets bad and it's hard to hire someone, I like to go out and take a really good look. Are my shingles intact? Do I see any problems on my roof? So I don't want to end up with ice damming and a leak and drywall damage type thing. So that is important. Gutters. Y'all, that's a constant battle with me. Even though I cut all those trees out, I still get a lot of debris in my gutters. Take a look at your gutters, or have someone take a look at your gutters if you're not able to climb on a ladder. I can climb on a ladder. I don't clean out my own gutters for a very good reason. If I fall off with my back and all the hardware I have, it's going to be a lot more pricey than if I just pay someone to clean them out. They do make like a little scoop thing that you can use if you can do your own, if you're able to do your own. They sell them at Lowe's. I've seen them, and they're like the width of a gutter with a handle. It looks like a giant elongated sugar scoop, and you can go in and scoop it out, because guys, things up there, they rot. You get gnats, you get bugs. It can be really, really kind of icky. But keeping your gutters clean will prevent, number one, ice damming, you know, because the water can get out. It also will prevent water from seeping under your shingles, I better be careful what I say, and actually damaging your roof and eventually your drywall. So I like to walk around while the weather's still nice, while I still have time to hire someone who wants to work. A lot of handymen in my area don't do handyman jobs in the winter because of the inclement weather. We get a lot of snow, we get a lot of ice, and they will work maybe for Amazon warehouse or something for their income, and they primarily work in the summer months or the nice weather months. It also talks about checking your circuit breakers, your locks, your window frames, your foundation, look for any insect damage. It's just a really good look. And even though I'm outside so much, y'all, I get blind to things. I just don't notice them. So it's a really good idea before the weather gets really bad. Go ahead and do that quick tour of your outdoors, and maybe you can't do all the repairs at once. Just pick the things that either you can afford or put them on a schedule. That's another good thing to do. Y'all know, if you've been part of my channel, hang on, I'm having a hot flash. Every summer, Mr. Steve comes and does a project. So I save through the winter, and then I've just slowly been chipping away at many things that need to be done. My house is 26, almost 27 years old. I've been here almost 24 years, and things wear out. You know, this year was a new microwave and a new refrigerator and a coop annex and new security cameras. You know, they're just things that I like to do when I have handyman help available and that I can save for ahead of time. Chapter 3 is really about the house. So it kind of ties along with the outside inspection I was speaking about. But what I really like about this, and I have kept it up, is it has a log. And guys, you can totally create this on a piece of paper. You don't even have to download free printables. You can make up your own. But I like to keep track of what I did when, and I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes I think, well, I just did that like maybe a couple years ago, and you look at your log and you're like, that would have been 10 years ago. So big things that I do, like appliance replacements, any electrical work that I've had done, plumbing, I've had some plumbing done for outside spigots, those type of things. It's good to keep track from a standpoint of planning ahead for when that might need replaced again. That's a constant thing, the money pit. And it also helps you keep track of any warranties that you might have. So I have kept up with mine. I have to add in my microwave and fridge and the coop annex. I haven't updated it, but this is usually about the time of the year that I start to do it. Now, chapter 4 is the electrical grid. And I have to tell you, I don't do anything with that. That's not my jam. I've had a few like GFI outlets replaced simply because they quit working. That can happen. An outdoor one quit working. So kind of those type things. Check your fuse box. Make sure you're not overloading your circuits. Are you constantly tripping a breaker? If so, do you need to have another line run of 110 or 220? Again, not my area of expertise, but I think it would be beneficial if you were truly running, I'm going to call it a farm. So let's now switch gears a little bit and let's talk about water and septic. And I'm going to take you into the pantry, which I still haven't cleaned, but I want to show you something and I want to encourage you about something. So I hope you'll stay tuned. All right, it's a little dark in here, but I don't feel like dragging the ring light around today. So let's talk a little bit about water. It really came front and center to me. I've shared my son bought a new home. As part of the home inspection prior to the purchase, it was determined that the septic system was no good. So he has literally been dealing with it for almost 3 full months of having the old septic system removed, a new one installed, a new lift station. Don't ask me what that is. And now, because they only rough grade, the former owner had to put this money in escrow, $22,000, just saying. But it is important, if you do have a septic system, that you understand that you need to put the antibacterial stuff in it to help break down any waste that go out through the septic system, that it's fully functional, that you're not having bubble up in the yard. One of the mistakes that was made when the septic system was replaced was the installers crushed in something called a lift station. The best I understand, it brings the water from down deep where the septic lines are up into the smaller lines to be distributed. And they, even though my son argued with them, said, oh no, you don't need a lift station. What then happened is every time he flushed the commode is the country word, the toilet, water would bubble up in the yard. Now that's been fixed, and now he is spending, God love his heart, money having the yard regraded. But one of the things that I'm going to suggest to him is that he does map out his water and sewer lines. Now, right now, it's really easy to tell because his yard's torn to pieces. But once it's graded and time passes, y'all, you have a tendency to forget about that. One nice thing is he has a huge, huge pressure tank. So let's say, Lord, please, no, his well goes, he has water available, and he could also do rain barrels, which I do as well. He has the little pump like I now have so that you can easily pump the water out if you wanted to wash your car or whatsoever. You probably wouldn't do that if you were having well trouble. But one of the things, I'm on city water, but we have had a lot of problems historically in this town. So way back when, the university, this is a college town, had its own water supply. They still do. But as the university grew, and it's huge, the population of students living on campus is greater than the population of true residents. That could no longer supply our needs. So we had a lot of water boil advisories with water line breaks, etc., etc., etc. And guys, it's pretty inconvenient if you can't go turn on a faucet. It's a lot more than bathing or even drinking. There's just so many uses you have for water. Cooking, washing up your clothing, those type of things. So one of the things that I have done, and I'm going to try to show you this, you see these 3 jugs. These are actually 7-gallon jugs. So a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So each one of these is 56 pounds. It's heavy. So what I do is twice a year, and it's time again, I will empty these out. I will use them to water something. Lord knows we need it right now. And even though they're quite heavy, you can offload some of the water if it's too much to carry. Trust me, I can carry it, but it's probably not real good for my back. And then you can put, and you have to check the size of your container, what is recommended. You can put chlorine bleach or chlorine tablets that are safe for consumption into this so that it doesn't go bad. And by having 21 gallons of water, the rule of thumb is a gallon of water per person per day for every day you won't have water. So in theory, this could last me 21 days. One nice thing is I do have, not on my property, but one property back, it is a very large creek. So there's plenty of non-potable water there that could be hauled to use for toilet flushing, and anything that you're not going to consume. But let's go to the dark side for a minute. Let me share something with you all, and I will try to link as many of these items as I can. Some things may not be available exactly like what I have, but have y'all heard of personal water filters? These are great if you're camping or hiking and you happen to get caught in a bad situation where you can't get back to civilization. So what they are, let me 5 minutes. Okay. This actually hangs around your neck, and you actually can drink through them. So I could take this back to the creek or to my water barrel, and I could actually drink out of it. And this will filter out, let's see. See manual. it filters out so many things. It's hollow fibers, activated carbon, cotton, and then, of course, filter. You can either suck into the creek directly with it or pour it into a container. Then you have to back flush it. And how do you know when it's no good? Well, when it's almost impossible to suck water through it again. So it largely depends on the impurities that the personal water filter is filtering out. But I think it's something that's good for everyone to have, and I just leave them on the shelf. I've not had a reason to use it, but like my son does tons of hiking, and he always has these in his backpack, and I think it's a good idea. If you happen to have a sun oven, you can get what's called a WAPI, and a WAPI is a multi-fuel water pasteurization indicator. Yeah, so you can put water in a pan inside your sun oven, and this will actually indicate when that water has been pasteurized, not filtered, but pasteurized. So in other words, germs removed. So these are a good thing to have. Along the same line, since we're right here, it is a great idea for you to have some spare batteries. I have a separate battery that can power electric. Now, I have a whole house generator, but y'all, if the gas lines are interrupted, that isn't going to help me a bit, because I wouldn't be able to run the generator. Or maybe because every time the generator runs, I hear cha-ching, 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 because natural gas is expensive. Maybe you want to turn that off for portions of your day. Just leave your freezers and refrigerators shut. If it's a prolonged power outage, it's nice to have solar panels, which I have, to recharge my big battery. And I've shared that in a video before. So those are just some of my water resources. If you know that you get an alert that they're going to be turning off the water because they got to flush the hydrant, or there's been a water main break, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, go ahead and like fill up your bathtubs, and that way you'll be right close to your commode, your toilet. You can bucket flush. That's super helpful, and it's clean. It should be clean, potable water if you do it before the event happens. So I hope those things have been helpful. I don't know. It does have a place to document when you have your pump serviced, if you're on a well, if you have your septic system pumped out or repaired in any way, and a plumbing repair record, which I definitely have. All right, guys, let's go on to the next chapter. We're going to be all over the house today, and this may be a bit longer of a video, but I just have a lot to say today. The next chapters are really more large homestead based. So there's a fencing section and a fence inspection and repair log. That's important to me because when I let the girls free range, I have to be careful that there aren't any sneaky little places that they can get out and go ask the neighbors for treats. They've done that a few times. Recently, and this was by accident, either my landscape people or maybe the neighbor, I'm certainly not upset about it, bumped my fence. And because my fence is old, it made an opening about like this big on 2 boards. Well, I had some spare boards from when a tree fell through my chicken run a couple years ago. And so Mr. Steve replaced those for me, so I know it's secure. That's a great thing. If you're relying on an electrical fence, I don't know anything about those. I have thought about that to keep the fox out, but I have to be practical in that my luck, the older neighbor might be mowing by my fence and get shocked, and I don't want that to happen. But you can keep track of how old is your fence. You can make maps of it, etc. It has a whole section on crops and crop records and seeds and pest and disease, all of that type of stuff, which I have a separate book for gardening. And then it goes into livestock. Now, let me tell you, y'all, this is kind of funny. I know Frankie's not my livestock, right? I've been saying forever that he just turned 13. And you know how Facebook will put up a memory? Yeah, he's 12. I'm trying to make him an older man than what he is. But it's very easy once you've had animals for a while. Like I need to add Miss Nona into my log. You can keep a log of your feed, how much they're using. I like to get my feed and my bedding and my straw, that type of stuff, prior to winter. It's hard enough to deal with the snow and ice and keeping the chickens safe. I don't want to have to be hauling, 50-pound bags of feed or heavy bales of straw. So I stock up before winter comes. So I've started my stock up, and thank you, neighbors, that's all I'll say, for picking up for me, because it really saves my back and I don't have to put it in the trunk and haul it out of the trunk and worry about hurting myself. You can keep track of like immunizations, if your animals get immunized, if they have an egg production log. Now, I kept track of this for well over a year when I first got my chickens, because I wanted to understand how much they would slow down in the winter. So if you do not artificially light your coop, because our days get so much shorter, they're not going to lay nearly as well. My egg production goes in about half. Miss Winona still has not laid yet. Y'all, I apologize. I knew it was coming. Miss Violet, she's coming out some, but she's still broody. So my egg production this summer, while it's been adequate with some leftover to gift or sell, it's been down because I lost Miss Marigold, rest in peace, and Winona's not laying yet, and Violet's been broody for, I don't know, 5 weeks today, just saying. And she's not sick, y'all. I've had her out, I've examined her, she's just broody, and she's done this before where normally it's about 3 weeks, but sometimes she'll do like back-to-back broody, especially because she doesn't have any eggs to set on, because the big girls have started laying in the baby coop because she steals all the eggs. So it's really good to keep track of that. Let me see if I can show you this really quickly. Yeah. Whoops. Try not to do that. So this I actually downloaded free offline, but it is an egg laying tracker, and I put all the girls above here, and then I would put weather events: heavy rain, snow, bitterly cold, 68 degrees in thunderstorms, windy, 60 degrees they free ranged. So it really helped me get to know my girls, because this is my first time having chickens. My girlies were 9 months old when I got them. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look and see exactly how old they are. I know they're at least 2, except for Winona. So those little things can be super helpful. It can help you feel in charge of your animals, that they're well cared for. I will say one thing, we've already talked about fires. You know what the #1 cause of a chicken coop fire is? Artificial heating. So you're putting all this nice dry bedding. I use a combination of straw and wood chips. Yeah, that can catch on fire. I do not artificially light or heat the coop. All of my birds are winter hardy birds. If it's 20 below, I have a little coop in the garage, which they won't stay in. They climb on each other's backs and hop out and knock on the back door for treats. So it is an optimum, but I don't have a barn. So yeah, so that's what I have to do. So I hope those type things would be helpful for you. Or I know several of you are thinking about becoming new chicken mamas or daddies. It's a good way to get to know your animals. I learned very, very quickly that Miss Violet was an outlier. She got so upset with being moved here, she didn't lay for like a month. So I got another chicken because I only had, I had 3. And so I got the 4th one. Then she started laying. She's sweet though. Ornery, but sweet. The further you go in this book, the less pertinent it is to me. That's why I say go online and download it for free if you can. It has like machinery service records. So when did you get your lawnmower blade sharpened? If you have a tractor, when did you change the oil? You know, those type things. Did you have to replace a tire? I don't have machinery here to track, but if I did, this would be a good record. It also goes through if you have a wood lot, so if you're harvesting wood and replanting trees, how much did you get? What did you sell it for? How many cords if you're burning it, that type of thing. In the back are just emergency and contact numbers, which it's really nice because it kind of keeps it all in one place. It has fuel, plumber, electrician, feed supply, vet, farm equipment and service, septic service, farm trucking, you know, like if you're hauling crops to be stored, your accountant, automotive, soil testing, county extension, la 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 la. Now you'll notice mine's not filled out because I did not write in this book. So what I did is I took this book and knocked over the glass, and I kind of changed up what I wanted to keep in my own homestead management binder. At first I had my gardening stuff in it. It was too much to keep track of, and it made my book too fat, so I kind of skinnied it down and put my gardening someplace else because I'm constantly accessing that. I need to save seed package. You know, it just made for a very untidy binder. So here's what I would recommend to you. I made this list in 2022, and you'll notice it's highlighted because that's what I like to do. So I made a list of all the inside and all of the outside tasks I need to do before the snow flies. Things like change my furnace filter or check my furnace filter, fill my oil lamps and trim the wicks because I do like to use those in the winter, clean gas fireplace, do a trial run, test the furnace, get it serviced if it needs to be, check weather stripping. Now I just had all new weather stripping installed last year, but I'll check to make sure it's still good. Clean and reverse your ceiling fans. Bubble wrap up the windows because guys, that really helps me. I need all new windows, and I do have new doors, but I need new windows too. Check smoke alarms and CO2 batteries. Charge up my solar panels. It's a little harder to charge them in the winter because it takes a lot longer for the sun to come up and it's not up as long. Outside, I just have like empty and store the rain barrel, store hoses, put an insulated cover on the outside spigot, store my chairs and cushions, harvest the herbs, cover my green stalk, mulch in any kind of fruit that's tender like my raspberry bush, stir up my compost, stock straw, have the gutters cleaned, have the chimney inspected, those type things. This was so complete for me that I actually have used it over and over and over. So I just copy it and then I can check it off for each year. So here is one of the items I copied. This is household repair, replacement, and maintenance. So when did I replace the range? When did I purchase my freeze dryer? When did I buy my gas generator? I'm shocked to tell you it's been almost 3 years. And it's good to keep track of those things. It also helps you plan financially. I know my dryer is 22 years old. So my dryer doesn't owe me anything, but I hardly use it, y'all, sheets and towels. But it's nice to know how old it is. So it's kind of on my radar. That's probably the next major appliance that's going to go. So this section, I just have Homestead Management as the title, plumbing repair record, home inspection checklists. And I do have a section on garden management, but it's really reference material for me. So herbs and what are their uses and are they annual or perennial? That's been very helpful. I have a whole section on animal management. So I have my egg laying trackers. I have a lot of them. And so May 16th is when I got Fancy Ray and Violet. And on the 26th, I got Jolene, and they were 9 months old. and how much I paid for them. And then I can keep any vet records, first aid supply inventory. So I do keep electrolytes and vitamins in case one of my girls gets injured, as when Jolene got attacked by the fox. And guys, you would never know it. She's very sweet now, probably sweeter than she's ever been. She loves to be held. I think she feels the safest when she's, being packed around by me, but it's a good thing. I also included a section for kitchen management because I'm constantly printing off recipes and then they're like everywhere. So some of the things that I like to make, especially in the winter, or that are good for gifts from your kitchen, like how to make beef bone broth with your broth from your Instant Pot, those type of things, so I don't have to look them up every single time. Let me see if I can tell you where this is from. There are some great resources from the Mormons, 52-week food storage purchasing plan. Y'all, I have plenty of food, but I did use this, and it has things aside from your food like health and beauty aids, medicine chest supplies. I have referred to this over and over and over. I have some inventory sheets, some menu planning. You see it's blank. Y'all, I'm so sorry about the hiccups. They've been really bad for a couple days. It also has a place where you can kind of check prices and start recording them. I've kind of learned some things are cheaper purchased in bulk from Azure. Some things are less expensive at Aldi. It kind of depends on the item, but it's a good way to keep track. Y'all, hold on just a minute. I'm having a chicken extravaganza out there. Apologies, y'all. Sometimes the girls just holler because they like to holler. And I would think I would have gotten a camera alert if anything was out there, but I had to go check because I always worry the fox somehow like snuck under the radar. It's nothing. They're just having a good time. So I had seen a post actually on Facebook of someone who did a comparison of prices from 2021 to present, so 3 years, right? So they found a receipt, like a Walmart receipt, and they actually went online, because you can do this, and put all those items in their cart, because we're hearing there's about a 20% increase in food costs. Now, it could have been partially what this person bought, but I did see the list and it wasn't anything like crazy. And the actual amount of increase was over 300%. So price shopping is always a good thing. With the advent of many stores having the ability to check prices online, it's a very good thing. I always check Amazon and Walmart, and I know a lot of people don't like Walmart, but let me tell you, some of the things that they have are significantly cheaper. And while Amazon is convenient, Walmart now has same-day delivery. Let's say you need something in an hour, you can pay up for that. Like, I'm never quite that disorganized, but let's say you're preparing Thanksgiving dinner the day before and you realize, oh my word, I don't have any butter. I don't know if they would do this on Thanksgiving Day, but you can just go online, place your order. A lot of times it's no minimum. Usually it's about a $35 minimum, which is like 2 items nowadays. So that has been really helpful, and it helps me save money for my next year projects. So another thing that I keep in here is kind of an expense tracker. So when I do my no spend months, I keep track of those. I keep track of what I did. As you see here, the yellow are days I was successful. These are the days that I ended up spending money. I'm about to do another low spend period of time. I do need to finish the pantry, but y'all, I have plenty of food and supplies, and I'm making a list of anything I need to purchase. So far, I've only found one thing, which are vacuum seal bags. And I'm also making a list of meals that I need to consider preparing, because I have an abundance of that item and I want to be a good steward of my food. And then there is a section where you can keep track of your, now this is Project Zenstead, your garden and produce income. So if you're selling eggs, if you sell your tomatoes, if that's part of your business, here locally, it's sweet corn, apples, and peaches. every day, every road just about. So I did copy that. I don't really do a lot of selling at this point. I haven't really made any Bath and Body products for quite some time. Y'all know that. I am going to. Let me just share with you why not, why I haven't been. So with the V, you want to talk about supply chain issues, just absolutely crazy. You couldn't buy bottles, lids. It was rough, guys, very, very rough. So that made me slow down a bit and kind of use up some of my stock, which is a good thing. However, prices have about tripled. Not exaggerating. The other thing that has happened is some of the big companies like Wholesale Supplies Plus, they're eating up the smaller companies. So there was a fragrance oil company I loved buying from, and they were bought out by Wholesale Supplies Plus. The other thing besides the price increase, here's just an example. And I still order from them. Let's say you want to make something or you get an order for something. Wholesale Supplies Plus is in Ohio. So it's not like they have far to mail it or ship it. Now, if you want something within a reasonable amount of time, it's $15 to line jump and have your item be priority. If not, y'all, it's a good 3 weeks almost every time. Brambleberry, which is on the West Coast, I believe it's either in Oregon or Washington State, but I think Washington State, their shipping delays are crazy. Everything changed with the V. So I don't have a desire to produce and sell like I used to, not because my products aren't good, but because it's not cost effective for people to purchase. I would either have to make like 2 cents on every bar of soap, and it's a lot of work and time and effort and skill and recipe development. I would have to charge so much, I think that people would be like, I'll just go buy a bar of Ivory or oil of Olay. So there you go. So I hope this has gotten you motivated to start thinking about what you might want to wrap up before winter. I don't have a whole bunch left in the garden. Tomatoes, peppers, lots and lots of flowers still. And thank you to the person who told me that the flowers I was so mad about not blooming, hollyhocks, are biennial and they wouldn't flower the first year. Thankfully, I didn't dig them up. So I did better on not overdoing it, except for tomatoes. This year, I did a lot of fresh eating. I did a lot of preserving. I didn't do as many canning videos, y'all. I have a whole canning playlist, and I don't want to repeat for the sake of repeating. I will probably do 1 or 2 videos on what I'm going to do with all my hot and spicy, how you can make your own fermented hot sauce. And I always make cowboy candy. I'm getting low. I'm having to ration it because I like it in so many different things. So I plan to see you on Saturday. Y'all, I have 2 really neat projects. One is a sewing project, and the other is more of a craft project that could go fall or winter or Halloween. It could go any way that you want it to. So those are on my agenda. I do have some travel coming up, so I hate saying I'll see you on such and such a day and then I don't. I'm really trying to get back to the 3 videos a week, but y'all, sometimes I'm too busy or I don't feel well. So just being honest about that. So drop me a comment below. What else would you include in your homestead management binder? What items do you think bear tracking that I didn't mention? Because I would love to expand my binder. I still have unused dividers. So I hope to see you a little bit later this week. If not, it will be next week. So don't forget to leave me a comment, smash that like button, and until I see you again, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and take care.